Okay, this video I'm going to show a couple things that you might find useful with undoing tests and homework. One is the add notes area, another one is Desmos, and another one is practice mode, so you can practice homework assignments after the due date. So first of all, I'll show you the add work area. I called it add notes, but it's actually called add work. You might want to get used to using these add work buttons and doing your work on the computer screen on homework assignments, so it's not new to you when you take a test. So if we click on add work under this area right here, then first of all, you can stretch it out. Like if you click right here, you can pull down and give yourself more room. So that's really helpful. And then if you need to put in a table, you could just click table and then pull down and make that table as big as you like. Let's say you want to make it a 4x4 table. Now you can put in the information that you might need to put in, like maybe you're keeping track of number of people that have a virus or they don't have the virus, and if they're male or female, and keeping track of totals down here or up here. And again, that was a lot of information there, so showing you again, you can stretch out the table here. See, if you don't make this big enough and you click in a cell, then this area here where you can add and delete cells or delete rows and columns takes up all the space. So that's why you want to click right here and see how you get the grab bars and make it bigger so you can type in these. Then when you click in a cell, you can type the values in, but also if we don't need this column, for example, I could look down here and look for something like maybe deleting something. Delete a row? No. Let's delete a column right here. And then boom, that's gone. And then just click below that table and you can type in other math, like if you needed to type in, let's say, fancy math, like squares and stuff like that. Let's say you had x, see, we got superscripts here, x squared. Now let's take that superscript off and say plus 3x, or whatever you needed to type there, you could type it in. You can also type in math like that if you use this button right here, which is adding new math, and you'll see it shows up in red. Now if we type x, caret up, I'm doing the shift 6 to do caret up, x squared plus 3x, it looks real nice. Now, in statistics, you don't hardly ever have to type things like this, but in college algebra, you might. Also, if you need to do fractions, this is very nice right here too. What you have to do is everything I want in the numerator, I'll put in parentheses. Like let's say we wanted x plus y in the numerator, and I'll do the little slash mark on the keyboard, and then do parentheses, just making something up. How about x squared? Then I did, again, the caret up to do that, moving a little bit to the right so nothing else is up there. I just did minus, let's say 5, close parentheses. And now it shows up really pretty right down here. And you can do step after step that way and have, the nice thing is, especially for college algebra where this is important, you can have that in your notes then for every problem, so that when you're studying for a test, you see exactly how you did that algebra. You can even insert screenshots. Like let's say we were using Excel, you could open up the snipping tool on your computer. And then let's say you have I'll just do a new one. So let's say we needed it, let's say we were on the Excel sheet, then I could highlight it, copy that, let me copy that, and then I can paste that in. So I'll just do Control V to paste that in. And that's how you can put in screenshots of Excel sheet or whatever. I mean, I just did this area here, but you can do the same thing on an Excel sheet. So that was one main thing. And then now you can hide the work too, so it's not in your way. And then you can bring it back at any time. That includes after the assignment, you can still see it. So that's the how to use this area right here. You can also just type words in there. Now, the other thing is Desmos. This isn't so important to statistics as it is to college algebra, but some people in statistics use Desmos just to do basic math. So you're allowed to use this along with the Excel sheet when you're taking tests. And you can't just type in Desmos up here during a test. You have to actually type desmos.com, because if you type just Desmos, it thinks you're doing a Google search and it doesn't allow that. So you actually have to type in desmos.com. It's very easy. Then type enter. You have a whole bunch of calculators that you can use here for statistics. Probably just a scientific calculator is fine. And now, if you needed to do some math, you'd have to look around here to see where to do fractions, I think right here. So here's 1/2 times, let's say, let's do it again, 1/3. And there's your answer. And you see this right here, that's going to switch it over to a fraction for you. So 1/2 times 1/3 is 1/6. So that's a fine calculator. Here's your exponents and all that sort of thing. So that's pretty nice. Let's see, if we hit enter, we get a new line. So if I wanted to do, let's try 5, and then I would do a to the b right here. Let's see. That will give me where I can do exponents. 5 cubed times 6 squared. There you go. That's what that is. Now, remember, all your answer boxes are calculators as well. If they come up with a equation menu like this is not going to come up on a multiple choice problem. But on most of these type of problems, almost all problems, you get this equation editor. So if I wanted to do the same type of math here, let's say 6, and then I can click right here, up in the exponents, third, and then I arrow to the right, say times, which is shift 8 for times. 5, shift 6 for carrot up in the exponent, see squared, and there it is, 5,400. You don't need to get rid of this and put the 5,400 in. It knows it. If that would be the right answer, you get it right. So that's a good bit there with how to add notes and using the equation editor. Desmos also has a graphing calculator, and that may be useful, not so much for statistics, but for college algebra it's useful. So you just click on graphing, and now you can graph things, y equals 2x plus 3. There, graphed it. You can click and get the x-intercepts, y-intercepts, and so on. Got a lot of helpful things in college algebra that would do it. It doesn't even have to be solved for y. See, like this is not solved for y, but yet it graphed it right here. So there you go. You can zoom out by just using the scroll on your mouse. You can zoom in or out here as well. You can go to the settings and change the how far out you want to see on both the x and y axis. And it's way more than a regular calculator, because like I just showed, you can just click to get, here's an x-intercept here, here's an x-intercept here. I probably wouldn't have all these up. I probably just have the one, so I can clearly see where all the things are, the important things on the graph. Okay, so that's Desmos. And then practice mode. Some people are wondering, how can I do extra practice on a test? So I'll show you this here. Like, for example, test 1 is already past due in statistics. So I'm switched over to student mode. And now if I click on test 1, I can still click on it. And now I have practice. You might even have use a late pass. Well, you don't want to use a late pass unless you really need to, like you didn't do it yet and it's past due. A late pass only extends it by 3 days, so you only have so long to do it after the due date. But when you go into practice mode, now you can do the problems, see similar problems, and it's pretty nice, because especially for practice tests or whatever, you want to do them, a lot. And so when you get a problem here like this, and let's say you get it right, you can just say, give me another problem, or you can just do the whole thing again. And so when you're studying for a test, you want to do this practice test, not maybe so much this a test, but a practice test. Again, I'll show you. Let me back up a little bit. So here's a practice test. So I can click on that practice test. Again, you show your work when you're doing the practice test, and I'll click practice. And now we can go through this. We won't be hurt by doing this. Won't help us on our points, but it gives you the practice that you need so you're ready for a test. Like this one right here says, what is the probability a person does not have type O blood? So we can see right here, yeah, the probability of type O is 0.58. So the probability that you don't have type O blood is 1 minus 0.58. And I'm going to type it wrong. Let's say I did a typo, very common mistake. So let's say somebody did 1 minus 0.56, and that's wrong. Now I'll submit it, and you see that's wrong. Well, you can do the problem again, or you can say, get a similar question. So watch, when I say get a similar question, it's a completely different problem. I could try this one. I'll get it wrong here. So let's try it here again. I got it locked up there a second. And I guess I have to try both of them. So I'm just making this one up here to show you that you can get a whole bunch of tries. And so if I say, get a similar question again, look, it's different again. So you get so much practice here doing this. You get to see all the type of problems that you would have on a test, and you get to do them over and over again for practice. And what you want to do is that practice test is probably the most important thing, because after you get all your points on it, you want to do the practice test again with the time constraint that you're given on the actual test. Let's say it's an hour or something, and without using any of these written examples or videos or help from your friends or anything like that. So you want to do the practice test, get the points, then do the practice test again in practice mode, or just do it again while it's still due. You're not going to lose any points from it, and do it over and over again till you can get that test done in the amount of time, get the practice test done in the amount of time that you have to do the test, and without using any of these written examples. And you do that until you can get a very high score on that practice test within the amount of time that the actual test is supposed to be done. And don't cheat and use your phone and all that sort of stuff on the practice test, because you can't do that on the actual test. So